Hello everyone and welcome to the Mercedes GLC 350e, where luxury meets electrification, giving you all the comforts of a premium SUV with the fuel efficiency of a plug-in hybrid. But in doing all this, does it compromise on anything? Well, that's exactly what we are going to be finding out in today's review. So this GLC 350e and the GLC 300 are exactly the same models, but the difference being that the GLC 300 has a 2-liter 4-cylinder inline engine along with a mild hybrid system. So there is a 48-volt system, whereas on this 350e there is a plug-in hybrid. It's a plug-in hybrid, so there is like a big battery pack giving you a considerable amount of range, one of the best in its class. So let's begin with this 350e front. So there is this big grille out here with the star badges on it and this chrome strips around and this big Mercedes logo, and even here there is a cutout so that the airflow can happen from there too, and also camera out here, which is the part of the 360-degree camera system. More opening at the bottom. There is another grille but in normal plastic, but also that has the star design on them, and there are also functional vents out here so that it improves the efficiency of this 350e. There is also a Mercedes-Benz badge on the top, and then we come to these headlights, which is a fully LED headlight cluster. There are lots of optional upgrades provided on this, like this thing comes with the AMG line pack and also the pinnacle trim and also the exclusive trim. So lots of options are provided. So the 360-degree cameras, the optional wheel design, and lots of things. I'm going to put it on the screen right now if you want to check out what exactly is offered in all this. Then I'm going to pause this video and put the clip right now. So on this there are also the digital headlights that are provided, and again that's also optional extra, but they function very well. They do a bit of dance also when you switch on these lights. So these are full LED headlight cluster, and also there are DRLs on the top, like 2 different strips and also one on the top. Again that's also an LED, and those same DRLs on the top side convert into the turn signal. And underneath the hood sits a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine that is mated to one electric motor, and it's clubbed to a 9-speed, which is a 9G tronic transmission. There is also a camera provided for the active and the passive safety systems, and not just that, this camera also assists with identifying the bumps on the road or the speed humps, so it warns you also in advance when you're approaching that. Pretty cool feature. And on the sides there are these optional 20-inch multi-spoke dual tone alloy wheels and the Mercedes-Benz on the caliper. It's been inscribed on that too, and also the AMG logo on there, because as I mentioned there is AMG line, so you get sporty seats and also some extra bit of exterior changes also as a part of the AMG line, whereas as standard you get 19-inch wheels. So these are the upgraded ones, and then the skirtings, which are in normal plastic on the side, but the thing is that these skirtings actually extend a lot if you see. So when I open, they are not part of the doors. So again, let me show you from the top. So they extend a lot. So if you're climbing out from the car, then you might find this a bit too inconvenient, as is what I've been finding also. And there are grayed out roof rails on the top, and it comes with a panoramic sunroof. There are also black color glossy surround around the windows, and when we come to these side mirrors, these are glossy black side mirrors. They are power foldable, power adjustable. They have the blind spot warning on the inside, turn signal also, and a camera which is the part of the 360-degree camera system, and also a projection light which shows Mercedes logo at night, or if you're reversing, it illuminates the side for you so that you can easily see everything on the sides. There are also more skirtings on the fender in the front and also in the back too. This is the fuel tank, and on the other side it's for the charging. So it's capable AC and DC, type 2, type 3, all the charging facility, and it also comes with the 4MATIC all-wheel drive system, although the electric motor is situated in the front, so it assists with the engine only. And in terms of the battery pack, so there is a 23.3 kilowatt hour battery pack that's been provided on this. And in terms of the charging, if you connect it to the type 2 charger, it would take 5 to 6 hours to fully charge these batteries. And if you put it in a quick charger, so there is as standard 20 kilowatt charging capability, but you can amp it up to 52 or maybe 60 kilowatts. So if you do that, then this car would charge within 30 minutes. So on the move, it's quite easy. And in terms of the range, it gives you 87 kilometers of pure electric range, which is pretty cool. And it's actually decently like 15 to 20 kilometers more than all the different plug-in hybrids that are currently available in the market. And in terms of the suspension, so the front ones are the normal coil and damper, whereas in the rear there are air suspensions. And the reason being that the battery pack is situated in the back, and in order to adjust the load balance, the car needs air suspension, so it can give you that adjustable ride height, and also it gives you the smooth ride quality too. And there are chrome bits on the top of the door handles, half chrome, and all the 4 doors are the keyless entry doors. And on the inside there is the Mercedes-Benz badging on the door sills, which is the illuminated one for the front ones. Again, that's an optional extra too. Now once we move into the back, very elegant looking style for sure. There is the GLC 350e badging in chrome, Mercedes badging, and the 4MATIC badging. And then these tail lights, again there's Mercedes-Benz badging there too. And this is a fully LED tail light cluster, turn signals, reverse lights, brake lights, everything is completely in LED. There's also a small bit of spoiler, it's been provided, just a little bit of extension, that's about it. And in terms of the visibility from the rear glass, so it's a bit on the higher side and mid-level, but it's very like narrow on both the sides because of the way it's been designed, as you can see. So yeah, it's slightly on the restricted side. And at the bottom there is glossy black plastic at the bottom side, but on the top side there is like the normal plastic. And also there is a towing hook, which is again an optional extra that's been provided on this. And then twin exhaust tips surrounded by chrome, but these are the fake exhaust tips. I don't know why. Yeah, they are that. And let's open the trunk and see the details there. So there are metal strips in the back so that you don't damage your paint work on the bumper itself. And as I mentioned, because the battery pack is situated in the rear, so there's a bit of height increase of the trunk, and it reduces significantly sometimes because there's also a trunk separator, so that can be fitted. I've just removed, so it's just easier to explain. But when the rear seats are folded up, you can put 16.6 cubic feet of luggage, which is slightly restricted, which is about 470 liters. And the rear seats are also foldable in a ratio of 60:40, so that also can be folded. And there is also the home charger that's been provided, but that would take like several hours depending on what sort of output you get. But it takes almost up to a day to fully charge this car from 0% to, let's say, 80 or 90%. And there's also a 12-volt power socket, some tying hooks out here on either side, and also hooks, tying points provided at the bottom too. And the rear seats are electronically foldable, but they cannot be folded up, they can just be folded down. That's the only thing. And underneath the trunk floor, because there is slight amount of space but no spare wheel, because there is a tire repair kit that's been provided, a very slim storage, and beyond that is all the battery pack. Now in order to fold down the seats, you pull these buttons and then conveniently fold these seats down. Now when the rear seats are folded down, you can put 54 cubic feet of luggage, which is plenty, but yes, again it's quite restricted because of the floor that's been raised up, and also there's a bit of a step here slightly, so the seats go down and the floor is raised up. I guess in GLC 300 it would be more level because of no battery pack, you know, protruding into the rear, but nonetheless you can fold down the seats and utilize that. And also there is the trunk separator so that you can hide away some of your things. There's also a trunk light out here, and in order to close it, press this button and close the trunk door. Now let's check out the interior, because it's in true Mercedes sense very luxurious. So soft touch material on the top, leather covered. On the sides there is this Artigo, they say gray color material, but it's more like on the white sides, and then this plastic trim out here, very quality. And then all these buttons are like this sort of the single panel where you just press it, and then yeah, they are all part of the single thing. Can become a bit annoying sometimes. And then yeah, storage at the bottom, and then Burmester 3D surround sound system. That is what you get on this GLC 350e. Speakers on the top too. And check this out, as I said, Mercedes level interior experience is what you get on this. So there are like screens here, a screen there, and lots of premium grade material. Let's jump on the inside and start showing you that. So the dashboard is very stylishly done out here, and there is a leather covered material on the top, and look at this waviness on the air conditioning vents. And then here there's a big cutout because there is a heads up display, huge one that's been provided. Out here these are the wooden pieces. Even out here there's this wooden piece that covers the center tunnel, and then even on the side face of the dashboard. And there are also mood lights that are provided. Let me switch on the car, so the lights switch on. The lights on the side, on the armrest, in the footwell, out here on the top you can see, and then out here, and even in the dashboard at the bottom side. And all of those lights can be changed from inside the infotainment screen. And not just that, the lights that you see out here on the edge, they also warn you if there is the warnings on respective sides. So if there are pedestrians or traffic coming on, then it glows out here in brighter colors, in red color on either side. And these vents, so when you change the temperature, these vents also change the color. So if you go cooler, it becomes blue, and then red for hot. So two dials on either side for the driver and the passenger individually control, or if it's synced, then all the dials do that in sync. Pretty cool. Like, so much of things have been given on this one. And as I said, you can change the lights, ambient lights, from here, settings, vehicle light, ambient light, manage the settings, and then monochrome, multi color. So many different options to choose from, and so many different options to choose from. Monochrome, and then brightness you can adjust, can link the zones, and then the effects. So warning when exiting, this is what I was mentioning about. Climate and the multicolor animation. So when you leave it in, let's say, this multicolor, so those lights, they circulate around right now as it is happening in this color combination. So yeah, lots of things are given on this. Again, even on here on the sides, there's soft touch material. So if you rest your knees against that, it's like softer setup there too, and your knees don't hurt you. This leather covered steering wheel with the flat bottom. So yeah, overall super satisfying interior experience. And again, with Mercedes, there is nothing that can go wrong. And as you can see, there are lights inside the vents also. Now when we come to the driver's display, so there is a 12.3 inch digital driver's display provided on this GLC 350e. And in terms of the operations, like, the dials are fixed on either side. You can't see more information there. It's a good thing, but you can change the layout of this. Now in order to do that, there are touch buttons out here on the steering, and then you see so many different buttons. So you have to go from home, and then you have the option of, let's say, you see that it's just already being so temperamental. Yeah, you have to be very precise with your touch. So the sporty display, then the classic, and then the navigation occupies the full screen. Then the next is the assistance, so it shows you the cruise control, or if you are in just normal mode, then the traffic in front, and then the off-road gauges where it shows you all these off-road gauges in the screen itself, and then the service, so coolant temperature, message, memory, assist plus, and all of that. So yeah, that can be done, and then we come back to the main screen. And not just that, these buttons, if you see, if you go on the top side, there is, as I mentioned, a heads up display that's been provided in the front, and that heads up display shows you like navigation, cruise control, speeds, and everything, every single thing on that. It's a huge one, and then all of that can be changed from here. So you go like minimal look, sporty look, like the dial becomes sporty in the front, the heads up display, standard, off-road, so it shows you off-road gauges also. Then you go into the settings where you can change basically the height and the rotation of that, and then you can switch it on and off from here, the heads up display. So yeah, all of those options are provided here, but again, all of that is controlled using just on this side, like this bit on the top. And the information that you see in the middle of this driver's display, that can be changed by scrolling simply. That's it. So the first option is the odometer and the current kilometers that you've done when you reset it. Then from start, fuel efficiency, from reset, then eco display, and then consumption, the attention monitor, and media control, and the navigation. So yeah, that's about it. That's all that you can change while on the move, and it shows you the battery level out here on the right side and the fuel gauge on the left side at the bottom, and more information at the bottom, also the different driving modes. I'm going to come to that too. Now when we come to this steering wheel, this is a leather cover half perforated steering wheel. It's a flat bottom steering wheel, and it's electronically adjustable, tilt and telescopic. There are also paddle shifters provided in the back, but those paddle shifters, they are basically used for the regeneration. So if you want to decide if you want aggressive regeneration of the braking and then put more energy into the battery pack, then yeah, you can set that. But it does not like really go like one pedal drive, but just like it would generate more regenerate more energy and help you with that. And there are buttons provided on either side, big Mercedes logo in the center, and very sporty steering wheel for sure. Now there are buttons provided on the right side, so they are split option. At the bottom they are the buttons for the media controls, to answer the phone, cut, voice recognition, and the star button. So you press the star button and you can define what it should do. So the top one is the one that controls the home screen. So if I go into, let's say this, press the home button, takes me into the menu, and then using this pad out here I can select different options, which becomes a bit annoying while driving and also a bit distracting too. Again, as I said, you have to be pretty precise with how you operate these buttons also on the move. So yeah, you have to be focused. And then on the left side, on the top side, the buttons are provided to change the information on the driver's display, and at the bottom the buttons that are provided for the adaptive cruise control, which is the Distronic cruise control that you get. You can set the distance and everything from here. Now when we come to the air conditioning controls, so the air conditioning controls are sitting inside this 11.9-inch infotainment screen. This screen itself is a bit angled towards the driver also, and yeah, to be fair, it's pretty good because it's just easier to interact with the screen, and it's also got a bit of an inclination. And the air conditioning system is a dual zone air conditioning system, and then the dial systems are provided at the bottom, so you switch it on and off from here, set the temperature, and it's dual zone, and then you can control for the driver or the passenger. And then more buttons out here in the center for recirculation of air and AC, and then detailed controls inside for the climate. So you can set the flow of air from here, sync it, switch it off, and the heated steering wheel option that's been provided out here inside this. So it's a bit layered too. And then the air quality, so it shows you fresh recirculated air, and also you can set the controls out here. So if you want the air conditioning system to switch on when you enter, then yeah, it can do that too. But yes, essentially from this infotainment screen that you have to control. Now when we come to this infotainment screen, this is an 11.9-inch infotainment system provided on this GLC 350e, and this entire system is based on MBUX, which is Mercedes-Benz User Interface 3.0. And first thing, like this maps that you see, so the water that you see there, it's got all that animation going on there. It's like water flowing around. Really cool, look of this screen for sure. And there are two different themes on this infotainment screen. So you press the home button and then you have the 0 layer or the classic one. You can go to the classic one and then it would go inside the various menu options like this. So let's see, like you want to go inside, so you go there. But I like the 0 layer because the good thing is that you go inside and then it shows you on top of the main screen. So then you can just come back, and then at the bottom it shows you the most interacted widgets out here too. And then on the main screen there is navigation. Again, that's an optional extra that's been provided, part of the pinnacle trim or the exclusive trim that I had mentioned. So it's one of that part of that trim, and on top of that you press this Mercedes car, and then yeah, you can find parking spaces, gas stations, charging on the way and everything. So that's the main screen, and then you go into this home button and then you access the MB apps, which is Mercedes-Benz apps on the inside, weather, pairs, shuffles. You can play some games too, Sudoku, then its own store, and then the comfort where you can change the seat settings, seat kinematics. So it would sway these seats. So in case you're falling asleep, or I don't know, if you want to relax or something, it does not come with massage seats or anything. And then there is the heat settings for the steering, and then the automatic seat positioning, and then the ambient lights that you go from here. Then the next option is the phone, then the radio and the media. So in terms of the connectivity, you can connect this infotainment screen using Bluetooth, USB, and there is wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Then the detailed settings, first assistance, driving, collision assistance, camera, parking. So the camera also, the rear camera, so that basically can come out and go inside. So if you want to clean it, and sometimes when you're reversing also that camera comes out, but it makes slight amount of some noise that is audible on the inside. So every time you can hear that cover open and close. Then the next option is the vehicle. So you can shift this car into the manual shifting mode, and then you can use these paddle shifters, but otherwise they would act for regeneration to set that level. And then the trailer type, so because it's got the trailering hook, so you can specify the trailer details also. Then car wash mode, so it would fold the mirrors, and what else does it do? So it will prepare it like mirrors, windows, roof close, the Parktronic is off, rain sensor, everything is switched off, and the maximum speed would be 20 kilometers that you can go to. Comfort, occupant protection, then the open and close related to doors, windows, everything dynamic. And then there's the off-road electric driving and the individual mode. So the individual driving mode, I'm going to come to that too. Then the lights, interior, ambience, all of that, system settings, suggestions, displays, keyboards, audio, internet, Bluetooth. And as I said, for the audio there is Burmester 3D surround sound system, apps, information, and all of that. And then we come out, then the off-road mode, so you can switch this car into the off-road mode, and then these gauges that you can look at. You can even reduce or increase the rear height also, so because it's air suspension, so you can adjust that too. Traction control off, all of that from here. We go back, and the next option is the hybrid, where you can see all the information related to the hybrid system. You can even set the different charging levels, fast charging as I mentioned, up to 51 kilowatt DC maximum, and you can see the information also. It explains why it does that. As standard is 20 kilowatts, as you can see on the screen. And then you can even set the charging and next departure time, and even open the flap, which is the door, and then the energy flow, where the energy is flowing from battery, engine, then the vehicle, accelerator, brake. If I press the brake, it shows, see that 100%. Then the gauges here, and then the engine, again that also you see that if you accelerate, it shows you all these racy gauges in the center, Vivalda, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto from here, and there are also the metal pedals that are provided as a part of the AMG line package. So that is the infotainment screen. There are also buttons provided at the bottom out here. Again, they are all part of a single panel, and then the slider button for the volume, mute, switch off the screen, and then there is a fingerprint sensor that you can customize, so you can just come in and start the car using that. And then this vehicle option where you go in and then you can switch on the heads up display from here to the traction control, attention assist, car wash mode, raise the level for the car. If you're going maybe on somewhere where the car is about to hit something, then you can increase the height. The descent control, interior protection, because it also comes with the interior protection, anti-theft, two-way alarm, and all the settings. And then if there are any notifications, that too on the top. And at the bottom, then the next option is the same, information about the hybrid system, and then the 360-degree cameras, which is one of the best on this. Very nice feed from that, crystal clear, a bit slow, but I don't mind because you still get to see everything on this screen. You can go into the 2D mode and then select different views from here. There's also a trailer view too, so close up, and then side view, all of this, or you want the full view, can see that. And then there's also the parking assistance, works pretty well. It finds the parking spot for you and basically parks the car and also removes the car from that parking spot. And the thing is, with the other Mercedes that I've tested, the E450, so in that there used to be the augmented reality. So if you use the navigation, it shows you on screen itself the front feed and then where you have to take the turn. So that was pretty cool to see, but it's not available on this 350e. So the other buttons that you see on the side is the dynamic, which is for the driving mode. So there are 6 different driving modes. So starting off first with the off-road mode, you activate that off-road mode. Then the battery hold, so it maintains the charge. So if you want to use it for later stage, you can do that, but it still uses the battery in between here and there. And then this is pure electric, when the batteries are fully charged or substantially charged. And then the hybrid mode, where it's the best mode, Mercedes says, because it balances everything on the car itself and then gives you the efficiency. Then the sport mode, and then is and also on top, if you see, it shows you the engine is in sport, steering also in sport, and the traction control also in sport, and then the individual mode, and then you press this option and then you can change the drive, steering, and the traction control. So all of that can be changed from here by going into the different modes, and then you leave it into the hybrid if you don't want any of the complications. And when we come to the charging, so there are 2 USB Type-C ports which are a bit on the inside, and a wireless charger that is provided here. And inside this armrest, there is also 2 more Type-C USB ports, and for the rear passengers there are again 2 more Type-C USB ports, and there is also this door that slides open, so you can open that and access anything. And there is also a 12-volt power socket that's provided out here. It's a bit unmarked, so might go amiss like if you don't spot that, but it's provided out there. Now in terms of the storage, so in the door cards you can easily put 1.5 liter worth of bottle and some more storage in the back. Very big bins are provided that ways, and there are 2 flexible cup holders that are given here, and then this wireless charger that you can utilize, this glove box which is also decently big, and then this armrest, again it's decently big where you can put your phones and wallets, that's about it. And then this sliding tray here, there are also 2 Type-C USB ports as I mentioned. And in the rear door cards you can put 1.5 liter worth of bottle and some more storage on the sides. And there is also an armrest in which there are 2 flexible cup holders that slide out, or it can even be folded away. I'm going to come and show you that once we go into the back. And there's also an SOS button as well as the Mercedes Me button, and there is a panoramic sunroof, and there is also a slider button here which is again touch. So not many physical buttons that are provided on this 350e, again just like many other Mercedes right now. Yeah, it's in line with that. So yeah, a very big panoramic sunroof that's been provided makes this feel very airy. There are also buttons provided on the side for the heated seats, and that is on the door card. So the driver and the passenger side seat are both the heated seats, and they are given here, the buttons for that. It's like a 3-stage, so you select that too. Now when we come to the seats, so these are the Artico gray, as Mercedes likes to call it, but I think it's more white for sure. These are the sporty seats, part of the AMG line, and in terms of the comfort, they are slightly on the firmer side because they are the sporty seats, but in terms of the overall support, they are very good because they offer so much of side support, and you can see from these side walls, and even at the bottom there is good amount of support, and also they are quite broad and long too. And then these headrests, they are also pretty soft. The headrests are actually softer, and then they can be adjusted front or back, as well as the height also can be adjusted. And in terms of the overall comfort, yes, as I said, they are slightly on the firmer side, but they offer good support, and even when you are sitting on those seats, so there's good amount of support underneath your thigh as well as in the back too, because the lumbar adjustment is 4-way, so like you can adjust a lot of things out here. And in terms of the adjustability, so the buttons are provided on the door cards, and these are like those, again, more like switches or like just touch button kind of thing. So you press them and then adjust everything here from this side, and then it can be adjusted in so many different ways, as well as there is an extension. So let me just go out and show you from there. So you can extend the bottom. If you see the bottom rest, that can be extended, and then these seats that can be adjusted from here. So all these touch buttons are how you can adjust the seats in this Mercedes GLC 350e, and the same goes for the passenger side too. Same amount of adjustment, and 4-way electronically lumbar adjustment option also. Let's jump into the rear and check out the rear arrangement. Now let me put up these seats. It's quite easy, as well as there is an option for the seat belts to be put out here. There's like a slot where you can just slot these seat belts in so that they don't come in the way when you fold down the seats. And one more feature that I want to show you is that if you are trying to fold the seats from here, there's like a lever provided. You pull that, and then if I pull it, so the seats, you see that they automatically go in the front seats. They slide forward, and then once I put it back, it again comes back in its position, which is again a very thoughtful feature. Now in the rear you get the same Artico leather seat. So the Artico is basically a man-made leather with more eco-friendly materials, and that's what Mercedes uses them. And then these are the perforated seats, but they are not the heated seats. There are also 3 headrests, but again, in terms of the comfort in the rear, the seats are slightly on the firmer side, but they have good angle to them, so there is good amount of support underneath the thigh, and also good amount of knee room, basically to do with the fact that these seats, if you observe, they have a very aggressive curve, so they increase the room out here. And also you can slide your legs under the seat also, so there is lots of space like that too. And 2 passengers can easily fit here, but the middle passengers, I'm a bit doubtful that if they can fit here. And in terms of the headroom, again, that's also pretty plenty, almost 4 fingers worth of headroom that you get. So there is a good way where you can easily find adjustment into these seats, even though they are not very adjustable, but they fit for most of the people in the back. And there is a huge tunnel that goes into the back, and that basically hinders the middle passenger, because the middle seat is also slightly on the firmer side, as well as the backrest, because as I mentioned, there is a hand rest. And if you're wondering where the cup holders are, so you press and then there is like a slot where you can put your phones and press one more time, and then the cup holders come out, which are the flexible ones. I like this idea because it does not consume additional space on the handrest itself, and you can utilize this handrest too, and again good angle to that. Also there are also pocket storage behind the front seats, and also two air conditioning vents for the rear passengers, a slot to maybe put your phones, and then two USB Type-C ports. And in the door cards, again soft touch materials, leather cover on the side, Artico leather, and then this plastic piece near the switch, Burmester grill out here, then door handles, and at the bottom just like normal plastic but quality plastic. In the door cards, as I said, you can put 1.5 liter worth of bottle, and even for the rear passengers there are mood lights provided. The ambient lights are situated on the top side as well as the bottom side. So yeah, no cutback on any entertainment even in the rear too. So this new GLC 350e plug-in hybrid is powered by a 2-liter 4-cylinder inline turbocharged engine that is clubbed to one electric motor that is in the front, and it is mated to a 9G Tronic, which is 9-speed automatic transmission, and it comes with the all-wheel drive, so all the 4 wheels are powered, and the electric motor basically assists the engine together. But in terms of the power delivery, combined they produce 313 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque, whereas individually the engine produces 201 horsepower, 236 pound-feet of torque, whereas the motor that produces 134 horsepower and 325 pound-feet of torque. Too many numbers to remember, but yes, I did remember. Now the thing is, the electric motor that is powered by a battery pack which is 23.3 kilowatt hour sits in the back. Now thing is, when it's fully charged and it's delivering the power, it is working together with the engine also, so you feel that there is enough of power for cruising around or just zipping around or accelerating. But when that motor stops working, then you can feel that the engine itself, with just 201 horsepower, may feel a bit sluggish to respond. So yeah, when it's working together, it's pretty efficient also. And the thing is, even if you leave the entire system in hybrid, the car keeps plugging in the electric power as and when the batteries are charged in between too. So it's not like it's not going to use that power. It does use that power, and even at higher speeds, like if you are cruising at 100 kilometers per hour, there also it will. But if you want to just accelerate on pure engine power, then yeah, the turbo takes a little while to kick in. But most of the times it works with the electric motors, and the power delivery, yes, that way it's pretty ample, although it's not going to be like surprising you and throw you inside the seat and all of that, but it's just going to be quite zippy for sure in terms of its delivery, because it's almost a 2.5 ton car. So to do that, it's pretty good for day-to-day use. And the 9-speed automatic transmission, yes, that's also pretty sharp. You can take manual control from inside by going into the manual mode, and there's regeneration also that keeps happening. And as a result of all of this, the car is also quite efficient most of the time. So on longer runs on highways, I've managed to get between 6.7 to 7 liters per 100 kilometers, whereas within the city I've been averaging between 8.5 to 8.8 liters per 100 kilometers, which is again pretty good. But if you combine it with the electric juice, then it should be giving you somewhere between 3.5 to 3.3 liters per 100 kilometers, which is again pretty good for day-to-day use. But the only thing is that the engine sometimes can sound a bit crude, and yeah, it's quite audible on the inside, because overall the car is very quiet, because the materials that they've used, there is like a lot of acoustic control that has been put inside this GLC 350. Now when we come to the suspension, so in the front there is the coil and damper, but in the rear there is the air suspensions, and the ride quality is pretty comfortable for day-to-day use. Although if you have like bigger potholes and bumps that you're going through, then that can be felt for sure. But yes, it's basically the air suspension in the rear is to make sure that the car is leveled and balanced at all points, and also it offers you the comfort for the rear passengers by giving that air suspension, and also it helps in the off-road mode where it adjusts the height of the car. But yes, overall it also has good roll control too, because it keeps the car quite balanced, because the chassis itself is pretty good on this GLC 350e. Now when we come to the steering, again it's an electronic steering. Now there is sport mode. If you put that, the engine becomes very responsive, shifts the gears at higher speeds and all of that. The steering also firms up a little bit, and the steering itself is well calibrated. There's good amount of feedback to it. There is a very sportiness to the steering itself, and with this flat bottom, so the design of the steering itself, because there's also the AMG line package on this, so the steering does feel a lot more responsive, and yes, there's feedback. I can understand what's going on in the front, so that way it's very well calibrated. And when we come to the brakes, so there are 4-disc brakes, and in terms of the performance of the brakes, the brake pedal itself has like 3 stages. At first it's like a bit soft, and then it starts responding, and at the end there's like a woody feeling. So the brake itself takes like maybe half a second to respond when you press it. So yeah, make sure you account for that, because sometimes I've braked and then it still kept slightly going further. So yeah, you have to just make sure that you account for that. So the braking action itself is pretty strong from these disc brakes, but yes, it's just that the pedal needs to be calibrated to give you a better feeling for sure. Now when we come to the noise and the vibration, so there are like double glazed side windows. The front glass is acoustic, so lots of attention has been paid to keep this car quiet, and it does keep quiet. There's no tire noise or wind whooshing, but just that engine, as I said, like let me demonstrate, can sound a bit crude, although I just feel like there is some sort of artificial sound being blasted on the inside. I don't know, but yes, it does at higher RPMs does sound a little sporty for sure. Now when we come to the safety systems, so there are 2 front airbags for the driver and the passenger, 2 side airbags again for the driver and the passenger, and there are curtain airbags given in all the pillars, so there are like 6 of them, and there's also a driver side knee airbag that's been provided. Then there is child isofix points in both the rear seats, and very easy to see those latch points also, and cover for that comes and goes and closes that very easily. Then the brilliant 360-degree camera system, and yeah, as I said, so many angles to choose from: 360 view, front view, side view, trailer view, so much, and the clarity of these cameras, and with the screen itself, the screen has so much of clarity, so yeah, very good use of that. And then there is the ABS, the tire pressure monitoring system, there is the traction control, blind spot warning, the Distronic, which is the adaptive cruise control, the front and the rear collision warning, the rear seat reminder. Then there is the pedestrian warnings, and as I said, even the lights on the side on the door cards, they blink to warn you. So yeah, all of that is pretty much standard and being provided on this GLC 350e. And if you're wondering where the gear shifter is, because I haven't pointed that out, so there's a stock on the right side that is provided, and yeah, it's very easy to just use this one. I find it somehow easier to use this than something like on Hyundai, which is like a twisty dial, but again, that also can be easily, if you use it for a longer time, then yeah, you do get used to that. But yes, this definitely is much more convenient. Now in terms of the pricing, so this particular variant as is offered at 64,900 Canadian dollars, but with all the optional extras, it comes in at 81,250 Canadian dollars. So that's almost like 15,500 worth of optional extras provided on this. Now the thing is, like, it's all up to you if you want to upgrade to all of those AMG line and the exclusive trim and the pinnacle trim and all of that. But in true Mercedes sense, like, it delivers on all the luxury front, because when you call an SUV a luxury SUV, then you do expect some things like comfort, the overall material quality, and all of that is there. And even the looks, as a matter of fact, you look at a Mercedes and you do think like, yes, that's a pretty luxurious car that you are driving. And even this smaller SUV still delivers on that front. And the driving itself, yes, it's not going to be the AMG level, even though it's got the AMG trim, but it's more for the appearance, exterior and interior. But yes, overall it's more calibrated towards the daily driving, and that it does well to ferry the passengers in comfort and also at the same time be efficient, because it's a plug-in hybrid. Yes, you do have to charge, but the car itself manages the charging also, in case you don't want to go through that hassle, and then keeps plugging in that hybrid power, electric power in between whenever it gets the chance. So yes, it's going to be efficient also. So I mean, yes, the price point is something that needs to be considered, because there is like Volvo XC60 hybrid that is slightly cheaper than this. So maybe that is something. And then some of these touch buttons are something that I do find a bit difficult to work around most of the times, because I still have to look at them and then operate them. So yeah, some of those changes, if that can be done on these cars, then they are really good competition, and definitely top 3 or top 2 in the segment for sure. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe to this channel by clicking that subscription option, and also press the bell icon, leave all the notifications on. Also press the thumbs up button if you like this video, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye, take care and drive safe.